The trade war, the trade war, the trade war.
What are you doing, Stepbro?
104% tariffs on China are not enough. I'm advocating 400%. I do business in China. They don't play by the rules. They've been in the WTO for decades. They have never abided by any of the rules they agreed to when they came in for decades. They cheat, they steal IP. I can't litigate in their courts. They take product, technology, they steal it, they manufacture it, and sell it back here. Never has an administration.
400% tariffs? What would that look like?
I want Xi on an airplane to Washington to level the playing field. It's just not about tariffs anymore. Nobody has taken on China yet, not the Europeans, no administration for decades. As someone who actually does business there, I've had enough. I speak from.
We all see what's going on here with the trade war between the United States and mainly China. So as Trump is just like, giving out tariff to everybody, like Oprah at the show handing out cards, like you'll get tariff, and you'll get tariff, and you'll get tariff, and everybody's panicking, the market is slumming down, yada, yada, yada. But my concern is, not really a concern really, I think I see with chaos is a ladder, as my man Littlefinger once said from Game of Thrones, if you guys know what I'm talking about. And I guess the question is, how can, let's say, a country like Haiti, as well as the Caribbean and stuff like that, well, since I'm from Haiti, so how can a country like Haiti would be able to take advantage of this chaos is going on if we actually had decent politicians or people who actually care about this country? Well, let's think about it, right? So we all, a lot of us don't like Trump. I got no problem with the guy. I think I like him. But let's say if you are raised in a Haitian household, that automatically by default makes you a Democrat. So, and for most people, they have Trump derangement syndrome, so then therefore they cannot see some of the benefit that might occur when it comes to the thing that he's going through, his policy, especially when it comes to foreign policies.
What I find so frustrating about the conversation around tariffs is that we all agree on the problem. We all agree that the deindustrialization of America led to the downward mobility of the American working class, deaths of despair, people working multiple jobs and not being able to afford the American dream. We all agree that it is deeply unfair for the American middle class to be bearing the burden of unfair tariffs from other countries. We all agree that it is great for the president to have leverage in order to demand reasonable things, like that countries stop allowing fentanyl to murder 100,000 Americans every year, and that Mexico do its part to police its own border. And yet when somebody has the courage to show up and say to Wall Street, screw you, I am waging war, I'm waging class warfare on behalf of the American working class, and you elites in Wall Street, you do what you need to do because I'm not going to stop fighting for the American working class. Suddenly everybody is sitting around going, oh no, the stock market. Yeah, the stock market looks like that because the rich are punishing Trump for siding with the neglected and humiliated American working class over them. We have already seen these tariffs work, Pierce. The number of people crossing the southern border is at zero. Fentanyl is at record lows for the last 10 years. We have already seen $1.2 trillion in manufacturing invested in this country since January 21st. So they have already worked. Now,
and you may ask yourself, but Haitian, how does the tariff trade with China can benefit Haiti? Well, let's think about it, all right? So let's say you have, the U.S. have a trade deficit of about $295 billion, $295.4 billion, right? Billion with a B. So therefore, that means that, China actually export more stuff to the U.S. than the U.S. export to China and whatnot. And so that kind of leaves them at a trade deficit. So with the war on China, with the trade war on China, it means that the U.S. is most likely not going to be buying a lot of the, because U.S. is more of a consumer nation, and they consume a lot of China's product, and China make a lot of product. Things such as, let's say, electrical equipment, machinery, nuclear reactor, boiler, toys, games, apparel, net, whatever, right? All this stuff. And the good news is a lot of countries who wanted to actually partake in this whole thing going on, because Trump recently released a tweet basically saying that he's going to put a pause on a lot of these tariffs from these other countries for about 90 days, just so he could actually spank China. Well, so which means that like a lot of manufacturing, they might go to, let's say, places like Taiwan, a lot of Taiwan, the Philippines, and all these places, right, where their goods will be a lot cheaper to actually produce in those countries and in China due to the tariff is going on. But what about closer to home? What about, let's say, a place like, let's say, Haiti, right? Because if you're looking at the whole trade stuff, right? U.S. have a surplus when it comes to dealing with trade in Haiti. The U.S. actually have a surplus of about $597 million, almost $598 million surplus when it comes to trading with Haiti. So which means that Haiti import a lot more of U.S. good than he actually export to the United States. But why is that? It's because we had decimated our manufacturing, we had decimated our agricultural sector, we have decimated a lot of our industry. So which means that we are highly dependent on imports, right? Most of our stuff comes from, is not produced in Haiti. Haiti is not a self-sufficient country, which is why our currency is so deflated, right? It's so inflated, and therefore now, if we had competent politicians in Haiti, right, that would have been the perfect opportunity to actually, let's say, make a phone call towards the U.S. commerce and everything like that, and start actually try to have deals with the United States to try to bring some of their manufacturing here, manufacturing there in Haiti. Because what that will do is that would actually when you have manufacturing, say for example, that to make apparel, things like that. Obviously, we cannot, some of the infrastructure we don't have to actually create things like let's say boiler, semiconductor, and all that stuff, right? These are more like highly advanced, more technical stuff, right? So we may not be able to participate to take advantage of that particular notion. However, there are other things that we can take advantage of, such as apparel, right? Let's say if we open up manufacturing when it comes to the textile industry, we can reopen that again. Because let's face it, when we're bringing manufacturing back in the United States, we're not gonna be bringing back, let's say, making textile, making like T-shirts and pants and jeans and stuff like that, right? No, we're not gonna do that. So, like companies like Gap, let's say like Levi's and all this industry, they can actually invest in Haiti, and if they actually become a stakeholder in the Haitian economy, so which means that they can also, like the United States, can also provide certain level of security, and that would temper down on the chaos that's going on. Yes, I know this is the part where you're like, you are advertising for other nations to invade Haiti, blah 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 blah. Hey, bro.
Same day.
The gangs, my God, it's the country, it's like run by gangs now.
That's how Judith Joseph describes the current situation in Haiti, a place she calls home, now rocked by gang violence. That violence causing the FAA to ban flights for at least 30 days to and from the country after a Spirit Airlines flight was shot at 7 times in Port-au-Prince before returning to Fort Lauderdale Monday.
Seriously, can you tell me in a straight face that Haiti has been doing a good job when it comes to security matter? No, we haven't. The police is pretty much like, they are not being paid, right? They have to accept bribe now because some of the police force in Haiti haven't been paid for like months in, right? Because the country itself is it's pretty much a failed state, right? And if we can actually have decent enough politicians that will be able to try to have some of those trade deals to have infrastructure in Haiti, to build manufacturing in Haiti, or even revamp some of the old manufacturing that we had in Haiti. We can actually have that in there. That would create job, and a job would create a level of security and stuff like that. And then you'll be able to at least have with the tax revenue, with the import, with some of the trade that's going on, that would bring in some money to the coffer of the Haitian treasury, and we'll be able to at least afford to pay police officers and, you know, army personnel to be able to secure the country. I would say we start off with the countryside instead of starting off directly from Port-au-Prince. We have like Tigouave, we have like all these other places in Haiti where we can open up manufacturing, and then therefore that would subsidize some of the losses that United States is taking on from China, because we're no longer trading with China. It will be closer when it comes to logistic, because let's say if you open up if you having manufacturing coming from Haiti, which will be a lot closer to the States than having manufacturing coming out of, let's say, Vietnam or the Far Eastern countries. So that's my perspective on how I believe that Haiti can take advantage of the trade war going on between China and United States. Let me know what you think down below in the comment section. You know who it is. I'm your host, The Haitian. So share, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm out of here. Peace.
When you talk to the president, former president, about tariffs, do you see it as a bargaining chip, or do you think you're going to see tariffs across the board of 20%?
I think we should put tariffs on stuff we make and not put tariffs on stuff we don't make. It's pretty simple. And of course it's a bargaining chip. We can't sell a Ford or GM in Europe. You go to Europe, you can't sell a Ford or GM. Why? There's 100% tariffs. How about in Japan? 100% tariffs. So do you think if we said, we're going to tariff you the way you tariff us, do you think they're going to allow Mercedes and all these Japanese companies and Porsches and BMWs to all of a sudden have 100% tariffs in America? Of course not. They're going to come and negotiate, and their tariffs are going to come down. And finally, Ford and General Motors are going to be able to sell in these places.
How's that sound, Andrew? That sounds...
Of course they're going to come down. Of course. This is just negotiating.